Check. It's probably good. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Sorry for to be late a little bit. It's kind of cold today. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm sorry, I was running around. Alright, so this is the Sashiko Live Streaming that I stitch Sashiko while talking about Sashiko Stories. This is not a tutorials, this is not a webinar, so if you could bring some of your Sashiko stitching materials and then if we could stitch together, that'd be great. Oh my gosh, it's really, really cold for some reason. Hello, New Caledonia. Wow, it's very far, I guess. It's far, right? It's very far. Okay, there's a few announcement, which is kind of, well, let's do the announcement. I do have the own, sorry, I teach Sashiko, and I have 2 in-person workshop coming in July and in August. Both of them are sold out at this moment. So, if you like to learn the Sashiko's core and essence, please consider taking the online class. I try to have the personal time through internet so that I can deliver the exactly same experience to that. Also, if you are the part of the organization, you may be able to ask your organization to have me there. Although the schedule for 2025 is pretty packed, there might be a little availability for 2026. So that'd be great if you could consider that as well. And after that, after you take core and essence, I would invite you to join the Sashiko Japan retreat if you are interested. And that is a series of workshop that I ask my friends, my teachers, my masters to teach Sashiko for you in Japanese. So I'm going to be in the translator, and that's going to be the 10 days of like continuous stitching in Japan for Sashiko purpose from Sashiko's perspective. So those are the events that I offer in 2025. And all the links are on the description area, so if you could check that out, that'd be great. Okay, let's start stitching. It has been 2 years since I released this Domestika course. That is kind of crazy. 2 years? Wow. Ooh. Okay. Let me worry about the pint. Good. Stop. Good. Yes, good. I hope that the place you're living is not this cold. It was spring. It's now back to the kind of winter. I'm really glad that I could come back. Yeah, I have been feeling little. I don't want to say. Well, it started with it being sick, but it's more like a little under the weather condition for many weeks, and when those condition continues, it's kind of difficult to start doing things. And I was in that condition quite a while. So today's topic I brought is the things to stay the same in the world of change. There's so many things changing right now, so I would like to keep something that it's not gonna be that different no matter when you look at it. And I hope that our Sashiko will be one of those. No matter when you look at it, no matter when you listen to it, I keep saying the same thing, and that's my goal, to keep. Not even a goal, that's probably like my identity or something like that. It's the reason I'm here for. California is warm. Wow. I don't know again why I'm here. Yeah. I wrote a little bit like a not embarrassing. I became a little shy when it comes to the poem. I don't know. For some reason, I I like poem, but at the same time, writing a poem is kind of, I don't want to say embarrassing. I don't know how to say that. It's kind of shy. Shy. Shy might be the word for that. And I wrote the poem. Um, but I wrote the poem a few posts ago. I don't know when it was exactly, probably a week ago. And I received several nice comments about it, but at the same time, I realized that the poem is probably a good way to ask people to read between lines. I kept saying that in order to understand what Japanese is, it's kind of important to read between lines. And then between line means that something that is not explicitly described as the word. There are something that it's not explained, yet there are some meaning behind it. And I thought that was not only, that was the more like a language issue. At the same time, when we read a poem, we read between lines too. So, and if you would like to check that out, please do so. And it, I think I kind of summarized why I'm kind of speaking up like this. You know, this world has changed, Sashiko, to the happy stitching, positive stitching, and it is good change. At the same time, though, that happy stitching are not based on the history, or it is our choice. It is our privilege to be able to choose what we stitch, and we are entitled. We can deserve to enjoy stitching, and I am enjoying stitching too. So I think I don't like the fact that Sashiko has become just happy stitching. It is more than happy stitching, yet I think many people coming to this as the happy stitching. It used to be not happy stitching. It's fun. It can be fun. It can be craft. At the same time, for some people, for some other people who is in this craft or stitchery, this is not really the happy stitching only. There are many, many people who try to make this Sashiko as the happy stitching or positive stitching, or Zen stitching or mindful stitching or whatever they name it. But that's really a part of it, and that's probably the word for that is cherry picking. But they are taking one part out of it and then to kind of transform it to the entertainment. And transforming into the entertainment itself is not the matter of good or bad. We did it too as the company, but we try not to forget about what the origin was. So I think that is really the current issue that the trend is leaving those stories behind, and then they don't want to even hear that though. Besides those who are here, me saying that Sashiko is more than happy stitching is probably not the word they would like to hear, because their goal is to just enjoy that. And that, I just, I'm talking about something I don't like, but I don't like the, fact that Sashiko has become just happy stitching. Also, I don't like the trend that we have to be positive about everything. Like being negative, being critical, being cynical, being pessimistic. It's like, more like being realistic itself is very bad in this world. Now everybody's kind of following the trend, authorities, bigger power, and I don't like that. At least for Sashiko, I hope that people find a way to follow their own Sashiko, not somebody's Sashiko. By the way, being positive and being happy is completely different thing in my opinion. Happiness is the status. Being positive is the strategy. So by being positive and also being negative is also the strategy. So positive and negative can bring us to the happiness, but at the same time, all the positive doesn't carry us to the happiness all the time. And that's my understanding of those approach, which means that strategies mean that it's more like a vehicle to carry us there. So the goal is to, if the goal is to become happy, then being positive should be just a vehicle. But in this trend, I feel like that many people are, or some people are, making being positive as the goal. Being positive itself shouldn't be the goal, because nobody can be 100% positive all the time. It's the strategy. More like, I try to be more positive, I try not to be negative, or I try to be negative. Those are the strategies, not the result. So a little bit of opinion on the happy stitching. I want to enjoy it, but I want to know, I want to acknowledge, not you actually, not you here. I want them to acknowledge the stories behind it. Oh, sorry. Sorry, chasing a thread. I will read your question. Thank you so much for the question. It is a little sad. Is there any Sashiko pattern that is used on a memorial cloth, like for someone that has passed? Not that I know of. No. I don't. Every family has the family crest, and in the funeral we put the I don't want to say carton, but we put some fabric outside of the house with those common patterns on it. But in my memory, it was never stitched. So I don't think so. I don't think. Well, I don't think so. But I can imagine that why they didn't have it, because we don't stitch. We don't really stitch for those purposes. Well, let me rewind it. In the past, Sashiko was not considered as something to be proud of. As many people worked hard so that they did not have to stitch. So putting something stitched together on the final day of this planet in a form of spirit, I don't know if they wanted to remind the spirit that the stitching existed. So it's a little more spiritual way to consider that, but it's more like, It's imagination. Nothing is. We can only imagine that. So we don't really wear the Sashiko stitched clothes for the funeral or any. This might be explained very well. This might be a good explanation. So in the Japanese culture, in Japanese approach to the matters, we have two sides of the element, like similar to yin and yang, yin and yo in Japanese. So that like a coin of, I'm sorry, front and the back of the coin, positive and negative. We have both. We have always two sides. And we have the word hare and ke. And hare means something extraordinary, like a festival. I don't know if the funeral can be considered hare, but it's not ordinary for sure. So we separate the ordinary and extraordinary by using those two words. And as you may know, Sashiko is very much the practice in the ordinary. So I don't know any people who wear the Sashiko stitch clothes to the like formal situation. I'm not saying it's bad, but probably they didn't. Like wearing the Sashiko to the wedding is pretty strange. So if they were following that, then they wouldn't be wearing those Sashiko clothes or Sashiko patterns on the memorial cloth. So the answer is no, probably not. But as long as I know, no. Being positive it requires a lot of energy too. So that's why when we make the being positive as the goal, it's really tiring and sort of no result because we forget where to go. And I kind of don't trust that people who is always positive. Like, we have to sometimes say something scary, right? We have to sometimes confront each other. We have to speak up sometimes that, to protect something important, we have to talk about something. We cannot cover it up. An example will be we don't want to talk about plane crashing at all. It's a horrible thing to think about. All of us would like to prevent that, and we all wish that it doesn't happen. But as long as we use the plane with those jet fuel, there is always the small percentage, but there is always the percentage. So that's why we talk about the importance of seatbelt. No matter how less they listen to those procedures on the plane, it is something we cannot skip because that's the things that we have to talk about. Although that's not a happy thought, that's more like, not a negative, but realistic thing. If they stop doing that to make everybody's happy throughout, no matter what, then we will probably not gonna go through the concept of risk. So being positive can be a good vehicle to bring ourselves to some specific place. At the same time, the world with only positivity is very, very, very scary because we are missing something quite important. And I don't think Nobody wants to live in that kind of world. We need somebody who can be so caring to take those risks. Somebody who look at the somewhere risky or even dirty for that matter to help. But I think today's world, we don't want to even look at those things. And that can be the future world if this AI becomes so usual, so normal for us, and if the robot kicks in, we as a human may not have to look at the dark side or dirty side or risky side at all. Like, I personally like to clean my house by myself. Come on, sorry, it's going out. I personally like to clean my house, but sometimes I knee down on the floor to wipe. Like for the kitchen, we have like a vinyl floor. It's not a wood floor or laminated floor. It's like a vinyl, so that it can be wiped out easily. And we have a mop to clean that. At the same time, for me, it's much easier if I just sit on the floor, kneeling down, and then fold the zoking. I don't have it here, but I have like a pile of zoking, and use some chemical spray and then clean that. But people don't want to look at it. My wife does not want to look at it because she feels bad about it. But that's the reality. That's the house we live. That's the place we spend a lot of time on. And of course, some people who can afford it will hire somebody to clean that, or probably Roomba can do that. But for me, it's super easy to just wipe it. And when I wipe it, I can stand and wipe probably, but it's not good for my body structure. So there's no problem of cleaning the floor with kneeling down. And that's because of my childhood or experience in the school system. We all do that somewhat. We know how to clean the floor in most cases. So those are kind of, if that's considered as negative, then I really respect those who carry the negative and then reality and try to prevent something bigger, something more scary. Like, since when we stopped talking about the risk? But as much as I can whine like this, I think that it's something we cannot change. And the risk management is always a theme for many human being, many type of human being. Like insurance is always about the risk management, I guess, for that matter. Just weigh on too much on the money. But when it comes to helping the people, I think this world is becoming to not look at the actual issues, and then we can say that it's ignoring. And that's the reason I sometimes or even often feel that I'm ignored. But reality is probably not ignored. I just know that they don't want to even look at it because it's not happy thoughts. It's not the positive thinking. But I hope that this world is gonna be the same for those who can speak up. And even if that's not the comfortable contents, I hope that we can still listen to them. And we don't have to agree. Agreeing is a completely different thing. But acknowledging or even not ignoring is very, very critical to be like us. Not us means like, me, more like the human beings before. But yeah, you don't know, it's very, very difficult world right now. Everything changes. Today's normal can be tomorrow's what the heck. So we kind of knew that it would happen, but it is way too, I don't want to say too much, way too fast. Or I don't know. But because some people say that because it changes so much, they would like to, stitch without thinking about anything and then slow down. And that is perfectly fine to do it, because if the stitchery is the way to calm them down, which often is, it's a calming down method to me too. So that's perfectly fine with it. But at the same time, if they plan to borrow the word Sashiko for some reasons, then I want them to acknowledge the stories behind it, why we call it Sashiko, why we still have this culture. And I sometimes feel that, not even sometimes, I often feel that, what if I did not know English? It might sound, and it might be too arrogant for me to say that, no humans, like every people can be somewhat replaceable. That's what, companies tell us. Any position can be replaceable. But for Sashiko, I don't know who would be able to speak up something more than just happy stitching or positivity. And I can do so because I am from the one who hated Sashiko. It's behind my happy stitching. There's the hatred. There's the curse on that. I'm not the best Sashiko stitcher, and I don't know if I can claim anything as the best or most. But I believe, and it's pretty for sure, I am the one who hated Sashiko the most in this whole world. And that's the fact. Like, many people would be leaving Sashiko if they hated that much. Because I was, raised in the system of this, I couldn't leave. So the amount of the hatred I had for Sashiko is it's like I know it's really strange that I'm back to this, but I think my father was like that too. We cannot confirm it anymore, but as much as he had some pieces of Sashiko, and I don't know if he said he liked Sashiko, but he was doing Sashiko, but I don't think he was. Oh, I think he also hated Sashiko too. At some point. Stabbing things over and over is really. See, that's also like something pretty scary. Like stabbing. Well, I mean, stabbing is probably. I don't like the translation of little stabs too. I mean, who did that? hate is other side of love, they say. Yes, if they can flip it. If they can flip it, that's great. But if they cannot flip it, that's a little bit of, it takes a lot of energy to flip it. Like more than just being positive, it requires some, like a shock. It's not like, let's change slowly. It's like you have to kind of flip it to, it has to have like a big impact to switch it. But yeah, that's another word I kind of often use, that the hatred is not actually the opposite side of love. Although I explained that with the coin, but the opposite, or the completely the other side of love is the not caring, not thinking. I think that's the Mother Teresa who said that. 愛の反対は無関心. The opposite of love is the not caring, not acknowledging. I don't know. Indifference. Thank you. I think that's the word for that. And I think that that's what I'm kind of struggling to. That's the foundation of my suffering. Like, if they hate me, that's okay, I guess. But nobody continued to challenge me in last 7 years. Sometimes people give me the nasty comments or some reactions, and I sometimes engage in those things, but they fade out. And nobody, well, I mean, am I that difficult? If you know me in person, I'm not that difficult, so I hope I'm not that difficult in person. But it is true that I try to be as difficult as possible over the internet. But hatred is something probably we should, not we, I wouldn't mind to have it. It's better than indifference. Yeah, I forgot to draw this line. Yo. This is gonna be a kind of scarf-ish. Scarf-ish. Today is good because it's cold, but I need it in the summer. I need it in the previous winter, like a few months ago. I didn't have enough time to finish it, and I am making it for the next winter in the heat of summer. So I may just purposefully delay this so that I can stitch when it's a little colder once again. It's too much fabric, and too much fabric is a little too hot to stitch in the summer. Like, this much fabric is a bit too much. This one is, kind of easy to hold. Yay. Yeah. Oh, I wrote the blog on the sashikostory.com. The the Trump administration postponed that extra tariff. I forgot the word for that. Extra tariff for 90 days. So now the tariff is 10% for us, or actually for everybody. but still, it is still more than it used to be, and I have to be careful on purchasing things from Japan. And when our inventory goes quite low, I will probably have to apply that 10% ish to somewhere else. Hopefully not 24, but I pay, of course, tariff. I know that some small business owner don't pay tariff at all. Like they travel to Japan and they get tons of stuff in the suitcase and they sell it. And that's a little sketchy. And I pay tariff and has been reasonable. But if it goes like 10%, well, of course, the first increase, the increase is not gonna be more than the tariff percent. But at the same time, it's not gonna go lower. It's not gonna go lower in this. Should I get more thread? Well, if it's really up to your budget. But yeah, technically speaking, when we get new thread, I will increase the price. Not like again, not as much, thanks to those 90 days. But if I have to restock that within that 90 days. At the same time, the sad thing, it's a really unfortunate thing, is that no matter how much I want to buy it before that 90 days, the production capacity in Japan is very limited. So it's slow. It takes some time. I shouldn't say slow, it just takes time. So it may be after that. As a trade, as the one who import items, writing those HS code and stuff like that, what we need is a stable rate. Like I don't like tariffs idea. 10% is, I don't like it. 24% is horrible. But what I well, yeah, what I like to have is the stability, so I can plan. Now stability is not so sure, so let's see what's gonna happen. I haven't increased the price on the internet yet at all, and I don't plan to do it for some period of time. But and I will try to announce it as much as I can, but at the same time, it depends on the. You're gonna be surprised, but I don't get order every day. Um, Sometimes I get a big order and then I ship out several thread, and that thread may be, you know, that one order could be the cue to change that. So let's see how it's gonna go. Oh. This wall is changing so much. Like so much and so fast. And I'm okay with that because I don't want to say my life is over, but I won't be different. No matter what happens, I won't be different. I have changed so much from the time that I wanted to be somebody else. I realized myself and I accepted myself. So it's pretty sure that I will not be different. And that's so is my wife. We won't change ourselves. And now we will not. But soon it will be we cannot. So no matter what the world change, we should be okay. And it's really fortunate for me that I could have her as my spouse, because both of us know pretty low. Low as low. Very low. Like barely eating. We both experienced the time barely eating. I was in that condition because I was stupid. She was in that condition because of the country she was born. But we will. If things change, we can lower our standard. Although we have a pretty low standard right now, but we can lower that. So change is not something we worry about too much. But for my daughter, I kind of worry about it. What the world will be in the future, like 10 years from now. It goes to the same for those who are like 10, teenager and 20s right now. They are the future of this world, and what the world requires them to be with is quite it's fragile as well as very demanding. Like when I was in college 20 years ago, it was pretty simple, straightforward. We drink the alcohol to network, and then we somewhat pass the exam, and then we somewhat submit the thesis paper, and then we just get the bachelor without sort of being like with while kind of drunk. But that was my college. Yeah, that was my college, and it was pretty simple. But now I believe that I went through a lot of change too. Like I was in the college right after the 9/11, so that was 2001, and I got into the college in 2002. So the internet was not that available in my college age. We had a Skype little later than my first year, I believe. The reason I'm saying that is I still remember that I was buying the international phone card to call my mother. And it was not like texting, or she didn't have emails. And calling to her like every once in a while was kind of a big deal. So that I could speak Japanese, and I was naive, 19 years old. And right now, leave me alone is my standard. But then Skype kicked in, which Skype is gone now. That's the change too. And we had a lot of things, yet for some reason I'm kind of remembering the Napster. Was it Napster? I don't know. Wow, it's really. But things were more. Was it stable though? It was stable, right? I don't know. I'm probably biased too. But back then, were we looking for this positivity or happiness that much? I don't think so. It's so positive right now. Back then it was not this demanding to be positive. And I think that's one thing that Sashiko has become the trend. The the trend apply or install or assign the role to be positive to Sashiko And as the result, this become very, very popular. And if that is done by somebody on purpose, which I don't know, if there's a person who decided to do it on purpose, that's a genius in marketing, because they put another meaning into foreign word, and then they use that word to fulfill something missing, some like a demand, filling the demand that we did not even know by using the foreign word is a very, very, very big genius. I don't think there is. It's more like a collective. It's a luck and collective decision that we were looking for something like that, and it came out, and it's like a spread it, like it spread it, and it's like a word game. One say A to B, and it changes the meaning by talking over the mouth to mouth, mouth to ear, because we don't have that authority at this moment still yet, and we shouldn't have the authority. We should not have the authority, but we don't have the authority at this moment yet. So ay. Wow, it's already 50 minutes. 50 minutes. I'll stop stitching after this much thread left. No, I will stop after this much thread. So 10 more minutes or so, I guess. I think part of it is that English lacks word for specific things, so we coop stuff in a bit for expression. Yeah, that's probably so. It's the that's the word we have, like, lost in translation. They are expression that only English has, and I think each language has, those things. And that something was missing in English, and the image of the Sashiko that they created fit into that missing piece very perfectly. Very perfectly. That is like literally a genius if this was the planned thing. But if it's planned thing, then that person is supposed to be the authority by now. So it's not a plan, it's just the collective. Collective, I don't want to say effort, but the collective something. Also, running stitch embroidery is a lot longer than Sashiko. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. At the same time, Sashiko is not only about running stitch, though. But that's the whole point. Like, A equal B is not always the case. So that I know. So I understand. Sashiko has more meaning, but at the same time, we cannot always explain what it is. So we need one word. We need a very, very short phrase, catch copy, to understand it. And that's why there's so many ways to describe what Sashiko is. Once again, happy stitching, zen stitching, meditative stitching, slow stitching, there's so many of those. And none of them are wrong. None of them are wrong, yes. Every expression is somewhat correct, but not explaining the whole. The biggest factor is that Sashiko is not only technique. If when it's introduced only as the technique, then we will lose a lot of context. By the way, if you're doing this pattern, don't do what I'm doing. I'm showing a bad example. You should not bunch up this much stitches. Don't do this. It's a horrible way to make this pattern. It's bad for the thread. It's bad for stitches. There's nothing good about it. I'm just lazy, and that's why I don't do this pattern so often on the live streaming, because if I would like to focus on the result, I probably will stop talking, and that's not the whole purpose of that. That's why, I always stitch this pattern, because this one, the result is not gonna be that different, even if I keep talking. Even if I don't focus on the stitching, the result from that is not gonna be different. But for this, don't do what I'm doing right now. Don't be more be more mindful. No, be more, I don't want to say careful, but caring, I guess that's the word for that. So you gotta stop here, little before that. But I don't like that. It's just too much stopping. So don't do that. That's the good part of live streaming. I can show you the bad example too. But at the same time, when they keep stitching, they will know that if this is good or not, because they will see the result, as well as that the result will be, there for a while. And being there for a while, and especially when they use it for something, then they will understand that what was wrong with it. It may not be as different right after stitching, but still, this is like all the risks and no gain. So don't do that. Although I'm saying don't do that, I cannot stop doing that. It takes so much mind power to not to do it. I don't remember anything. I cannot remember how much I did tonight. I mean, of course, I can go back to the live streaming and watch how much I did, but I don't really remember. And then when I'm talking like this, my mind is not on the finger at all. In fact, my mind is not on my mouth too, so I'm just mumbling. When I have to explain, when I have an opportunity to explain, my brain starts kicking in. But when I'm mumbling, I think I'm kind of half sleeping. So, and that's the Sashiko I want them to really. It's not a happy, or it's not a relaxing. It's just sometimes people sleep in their stitching, like lose the consciousness type of stitching. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I think it's not a matter of good or bad. Okay, I think this is good enough. And yet 1 hour exact, almost. Almost exact is not a good English, sorry. So this is the, don't do that. Don't do this. I think I have a few more lives, probably just one more Thursday, and I will be finishing this. Ay. So I have to prepare something else again? Nah, that's the case. All right, thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko live streaming. This is the live streaming where I talk about Sashiko and related topics that I just popped up in my mind, and sharing the Sashiko stitching too. And it is my intention to offer that every Thursday night. And I hope that you can come back next week as well. I hope that I can keep offering this place as the ibasho, which is the place for everybody to be, for anybody to be without any, anything. So if you could come back, that'd be great. Also, if you could put the like button, that will help me to maintain this channel's health. So please click the like button. And I will see you next week. I hope you have a good night. Bye bye.